Good evening, everyone, and happy Yule tidings. I am Amy C. Wilson of Otherworldly Waxes, and I am very excited to be hosting this year's second annual Yule Market, presented by Moon, Serpent, and Bone, Oddities and Curiosities Night Market. I am very excited about this virtual event. We have some really fine presenters and amazing entertainers this evening that are presented on this hour-and-a-half long video. So this evening for entertainment, we have Graverobber Marshall, again, which if you're a metalhead, you gotta love him, and which I do. And we also have Obsidian Moon Bellydance for those of us who are able to attend our summer solstice event back in 2019. You got to see them live, so they're back. They shared a video with us this evening, as well as wonderful presenters Ariel Gatoga, Scorpio and Gemini from WitchSpace, as well as Madam Z, Melissa the Chakra Witch, and my favorite, Mama Sarah from Conjured, Cardea. I will be hosting this evening from the comfort of my home. The Hudson Valley was hit with a snowstorm this week, and it's a little treacherous outside, so I am happy to be sharing all my home magic with you this evening. And I will also be presenting throughout the evening on our Instagram Live as well as our Facebook Live. A little bit of Yule tidings, tips and tricks to make it through the holidays, as well as cleansing your energy and cleansing your home, and little traditions that you can start with your friends and your family during the holiday season. So please check in throughout the evening. I don't have a set schedule yet. Like, my plans were kind of thrown a little bit of awry due to the storm. So please check in on our Instagram Live and our Facebook Live. Be sure to follow us on YouTube for any future videos that we may be posting, or archived videos from previous events of magical musings, entertainment, music, dance, just wonderful videos from our previous markets. And if you can't watch this video this evening, you'll be able to see it at some other convenient time. Again, thank you so incredibly much for joining us this evening. I hope everyone is safe and happy and healthy and enjoying their holiday season. So please be sure to check in. Follow us on Facebook at Moon, Serpent, and Bone. Follow us on Instagram at Moon, Serpent, and Bone, and YouTube at Moon, Serpent, and Bone. Again, happy holiday season, Yule tidings, and as always, live deliciously.
Hi everyone, my name is Adrienne and I'm the troupe leader for Obsidian Moon Bellydance. We're a small dance troupe located in Connecticut. The style of dance we do was formerly known as ATS or American Tribal Style, but has since been renamed to Fat Chance Belly Dance Style. It's an improv style of dance, so every time we dance, it's completely unique to the experience and to the music in the moment. We learn a set of moves that are cued by the leader, and the leader determines what we do in any moment. If you would like to see our past performance videos or any of the photos that we've taken, you can find us on Facebook at Obsidian Moon Bellydance. Hope you enjoy the show.
Comme si je n'existais pas. Elle est passée à côté de moi, sans un regard serein de sabbat. J'ai dit Aïcha, prends tout est pour toi. Voici les perles, les bijoux. Aussi au retour de ton cou, les fruits bien mûrs au goût de miel. Ma vie, Aïcha, si tu m'aimes, j'irai où ton souffle nous mène, dans les pays d'ivoire et d'ébène. J'effacerai tes larmes, tes peines. Rien n'est trop beau pour une si belle. Oh, Aïcha, Aïcha, écoute-moi. عايشة ونموت عليك. هادي سيد حياتي وحبي، انتي عمري وانتي حياتي. تمنيت نعيش معك غير انتي. عايشة عايشة هيك وتموى. عايشة عايشة أنا نبغيك. عايشة عايشة بابا. عايشة عايشة ونموت عليك. عايشة عايشة يا بابا. يا
Hi everyone, welcome to the winter solstice Yuletide session. So today what I thought I would talk about is the use of evergreens in magic. Most of us are decorating with evergreens this time of year. If we're not, a lot of us still like to go outside during the winter time and admire the evergreens, but I'm not sure a lot of people actually involve them in their magical workings. So I'm going to show you a few examples of things that grow natively around me, and what I like to use them for, what their metaphysical properties or magical properties are. So the first one I'm going to start with is some cedar. So cedar is really great for purification, healing, and protection. It also has the energy of strength and power and wisdom behind it as well. So this is a really great one. It's also aromatic, so you could easily burn this, maybe make it into like a type of smudge bundle, and use it to purify, protect, cleanse your home. Juniper is another favorite of mine. I love the blue berries on it, and it is my favorite herb for protection. Every single mojo bag that I make for protection has juniper in it. It's also aromatic. People either love or hate the smell of juniper, so I'll leave that up to you to decide. It's not something I would personally want to wear, but I do love the energy of burning juniper in my home. It's super, super, super protective. So the next one I have, this is a fir. This is a Fraser fir, is this particular type. So there are different types of firs, just like there are different types of pines. So how you can tell the difference between a fir and a pine is that a fir has flat needles and you can't roll them between your fingers, and a pine has round needles and you can roll them between your fingers. So that will help you differentiate between those. So firs are another great one for protection. They also have kind of a citrusy scent, and I'm going to get into citrus in just a little bit and kind of how it pairs with this time of year and with evergreens. But this is another great one that I love to add to my protection mojos in the winter time. I like to sort of shift the scheme of the plants that I'm working with throughout the seasons. So whatever is available seasonally is typically what I work with when I'm making custom mojos or custom candles, custom, herbal dressings, anything like that. So I really shift and work with the seasons, which is another way for me to honor the wheel of the year. So now we'll get to the pine that I had just brought up. This is actually one of my plant allies. Long ago, one of my first herbal sort of, what would you call it? I guess an herbal learning retreat, an herbal educational retreat. I learned that white pine was one of my plant allies. So this was also interesting to me because I grew up around a lot of pine and white pine, and where I'm from we're taught sort of a lot of wilderness survival techniques, and I was always taught that it was very high in nutrition. So it has a lot of vitamins and nutrients, and if you were out in the wilderness, something that you could do was, as long as you had a source of water and you had a way to make fire, you could boil pine bark or pine needles and sort of drink it as a tea to sustain your energy because it was so nutritious. So that sort of gives us an idea as to where we're going with white pine. It's very healing, very protective, very nourishing. Pine is a great herb to be used in love or reconciliation, marriage work. A lot of people don't think of it that way, but it has a similar sort of plant fingerprint as like say mints do. Mints are also binding and protective, but they're also very good for love work. So if you are looking for sort of more stability in your relationships, more commitment, maybe some progression to the next level, pine is a great ally to work with. So I have a little sprig here of what is called winterberry where I'm from. I can't remember the exact species, what the genus name is of this. And you don't have to have the winterberry. You could have holly. You could use rose hips. But the idea of berries around this time of year is if you were to go out and harvest those and involve them as offerings in your work, it adds like a really youthful, vibrant, energetic, fruitful abundance of energy to your work. So berries are a great time, and they're actually pretty prolific during the winter months. You just have to go out and look for them, and you'll find different types. But to involve them in your workings they really do give your work a big like spruce of really youthful, vibrant energy. So I highly recommend going out and finding yourself some wild berries to add to your work. Not only that, but they're really nice for decorating with. Of course, all of the evergreens are, but a splash of color is always nice in the winter time as well. So I have a couple here that people don't usually think of too much, but it's starting to get more popular in winter arrangements. If you go out and buy a winter arrangement bouquet or maybe garlands to put up, is eucalyptus. So eucalyptus is not native to where I grow, to where I live, to where I grow. But I do consider it an evergreen. It's what we would call an everlasting, which means that it's a flower that you can dry and it will look exactly the same as it did when it was alive. So eucalyptus, I'm sure many of us are aware of during this time of year, using eucalyptus in our home for its healing and cleansing and restorative properties. We find it a lot in our health medicines, our cold medicines, things like that we take for either preventative measures or for treatment. So really good. Think of it as it cleanses out your lungs and your nasal passages. Think of it also has that same ability to cleanse and prepare your home. This would be a great herb to burn before protection work. So to sort of like get everything out of the way, clear those passages, those spiritual passages, and then you can use protective herbs after that to fill in those passages with protective energy. So this is one of my favorites, is magnolia leaf. I love magnolia leaf. They have this really beautiful, like leathery, shiny appearance on the top, and then the back is this really like suede-like rust brown color. They're really gorgeous texture-wise. And magnolia is one of my favorite plants to work with because of its versatility. You can use magnolia for both protection, for removal of hexes, and you can also use it for restorative work on, say, love situations. So it has a really, really sort of twofold part there. And my favorite way to use it, though, is definitely for the protection aspect. A lot of people don't think of magnolia in that way, especially like the hex breaking and releasing part of it, because when we think of the tree and the flower, it is so beautiful that we typically would just associate something like that with love. But I really think that this plant is more geared towards hex breaking, hex removal, evil eye removal, and protection. Energetically, to me, that's how I've always worked with it, and I think that that is the best way to utilize this plant. You can now get wreaths made entirely out of magnolia. I actually have one on my door right now, and I think it is just an absolute perfect way to put a protective symbol at the beginning of your home. I do also sell magnolia cones on my website, which will probably be linked below. And the magnolia cones are great to bring peace and happiness into the home. So that's something else that you can also hang around your home and bring in that energy during this time of year. Most of us aren't dealing with family members, extended family, relatives this time of year simply because of the state of where we are in the world. But you know what? I think all of us being home so much together right now, that adding a little peace and protection and sort of calming and serene energy so that we stay off each other's nerves, I think is really, really important right now to do as maintenance work, so we don't annoy the crap out of each other. So while you may not be having, all kinds of friends and family and meeting new people and having them over to your home this time of year, think about sustaining the quality of the environment and the relationships in your home right now, because that's a really, really important aspect to focus on with your magic during this time. So I have a couple more things. So this is a small, what we call a clementine, but oranges and citrus, I have a little sweet lemon here too, are really, really great for this time of year and to combine with the evergreens. You can also combine them with the evergreens and then use your traditional sort of, Yuletide herbs, clove, cinnamon, allspice, and nutmeg. So what I like to do is I like to peel one of these, take the peel and put it into a small pot on my stove. Add maybe a sprig of fir, because I like the citrusy scent of the fir needles, and add just maybe a tablespoon of cloves, a couple of cinnamon sticks, a tablespoon of whole allspice, and then grate some fresh whole nutmeg in there and let that simmer on the stove. So the great thing about citrus this time of year is, when I was little, I used to get citrus and nuts in my stocking, like Brazil nuts, hazelnuts, almonds, pecans, things like that, because those are very expensive things. Citrus during this time of year was very expensive. It used to be, before we could import whatever produce we want all over the world. So it was often a sign of giving your most valuable, most important thing was giving somebody a piece of citrus that time of year. So it kind of takes us back to an acknowledgement of like an old time of what was valuable. What would be your most valuable thing to give away if people couldn't go buy whatever they wanted with just a click of a button. So I still really love the wealth and abundance and rich energy associated with citrus for that aspect. So what I like to do is make that simmer pot I was talking about. You would always involve your citrus. And all of those herbs, the clove is for success, nutmeg is for luck, allspice is for really having the upper hand and winning at your goals. And then cinnamon is also a very energetic, the energy of that herb is also love and luck. So that's a really great mix to put on your stove and simmer. Let it carry through your house. Envision it sort of, encapsulating everyone, washing over everyone, waving over everyone with this protective, abundant, wealthy energy. And it's a really great way to bring that into your home. It's super simple and nobody even knows you're doing it. The other great thing about citrus, especially combined with clove, a lot of times you'll see people make pomanders out of an orange at this time of year, which is where you take your orange and you make a design in it with the clove buds. You can make a design or you could fill the whole thing in, it doesn't matter. But the clove and the citrus scent is really wonderful, but the magical properties of clove and citrus are very much for open roads. So if you had something you were working on this time of year and you really wanted an extra boost, or you wanted to make a physical offering towards this goal and say, I am creating this, and with every clove that I enter into this orange, I am nailing my goal into my life, I am sealing it into my life, that would be a really, really great way to open the roads to your goals for 2021. I think that there's nothing better this time of year than utilizing our native evergreens, citrus, and really getting our homes cleansed and prepped and protected, and then opening those roads and welcoming in 2021, especially after 2020. So I really encourage you to take some time, get outside, see what evergreens grow around you. If you can usually take a picture now and then use identification like on Google to help you identify the plant, so it'll let you know, and then you can look up the metaphysical properties of it. So yeah, get outside, get some fresh air, because it's great for your health, and enjoy some sunshine, or enjoy a bit of snow, or enjoy the cool, whatever you have where you are. Learn about some native plants around you. Bring them into your home. Bless your home with that protection and purification. And don't forget to try adding your herbs and spices and your evergreens and your citrus to your simmer pot on your stove to bring in that abundance and protection and successful energy for 2021. May you all be blessed, protected, purified, peaceful, filled with harmony, love, and health this time of year and into 2021. Happy New Year, everyone, and be blessed.
What's up, witches, and welcome to WitchSpace. I'm Gemini.
And I'm Scorpio, and we are WitchSpace Podcast. If you haven't seen us before, we come out on the new and full moon. You can hear an episode. We have been fortunate enough to have been invited by Amy several times to participate in the Moon, Serpent, and Bone virtual markets, and we're so excited to be here for the Yule one.
Thank you so much, Amy, for including us in this, and we're really excited to get to bring you our ideas for this market. So Scorpio, what are we doing today?
Well, today we are going to do quick and easy spells to witch your way into the new year. Now, this is one of two parts. So basically, this is the first part. But if you like what you see, check us out, because part 2 is going to come out in the full moon episode of WitchSpace.
Let's jump right in.
For my 2 spells, I wanted to utilize things that might be seen as leftovers after a holiday party or after somebody gives you a gift. Especially this year when we're not really going to see our loved ones, we're expecting a lot of holiday cards, and I'm sure that some of us have family members who are not pagan, whether they celebrate Christmas, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, or some other winter holiday. We get a lot of cards, and they're really sweet. Happy holidays from a beloved family member. That's so kind. We can use these cards to actually create spells to bless the people who have sent them. If you're going to use words, you would write your spell on the back. I typically use protective sigils. So I would draw my sigil here, typically trying to bring good fortune and positive energy. You can then hang these cards around your house, maybe on a fireplace or on a cute, they have like those little clothespin lines, and this will charge them with the holiday spirit that you build during Yule. Then if you'd like to store them or burn them, it releases the blessing that you've put on the back of the card. Now, the other thing that we have often during the holidays is leftover wrappings. So I like to take wrapping paper, stuffing, ribbon, even like pieces of confetti from gifts that loved ones have given me and put them in a joy jar. And I build my joy jar during the holiday season to help maintain that sense of joy and love throughout the year. So I will stuff it full of all of my wrappings. Top with poppy seeds for peace. I like to include glitter because I think that it brings joy and happiness when I see it. And I put a piece of rose quartz inside to help bring love and positive energy. I will then put the top on my joy jar and light a small candle to seal the jar. I personally don't like to actually seal the lid of the jar completely because then I can empty it out and reuse it each year. And I like to just melt the bottom of the candle to help it to stick. For you words witches like Scorpio, you could then say a spell. But I typically allow the candle to do its own work. I think using the joy jar and blessing the cards that you get for the holidays really brings a sense of witchcraft and magic to a holiday that a lot of us kind of get grandfathered into celebrating because of our non-pagan relatives. So this is a really great way to make me feel connected to my loved ones while also feeling connected to my practice, and helps me to bring positive energy into the year by blessing my loved ones and also creating this joy jar that allows me to look back on the positive energy of the holiday season.
So I'm here to talk today about, who am I kidding? These are fake. But actually, it's a good idea to have some of the plants that we associate with Christmas for your Yule celebrations. Some of them include holly, for instance. Holly is a great protector. So even if you don't celebrate the holidays, having a little bit of holly in your home is great to protect your home and everybody in it. The next thing that people usually associate with Christmas is mistletoe. And yes, it does have a background and past associated with prosperity and fertility. But did you know that it also aids in peacemaking and ending discord? Actually, not a bad thing this time of year. True, our gatherings might be smaller, but you never know when family drama might strike. So why not have some mistletoe around the house? Oh, hey, what are you doing outside my house? Oh, I know. You want to know how to ensure good travel in 2021? Because we basically haven't gone anywhere. So what I like to do on New Year's Eve is that I get my overnight bag and I put it outside my house. I just plop it down. New Year's Day, first thing I do is I come out, I grab it, and I put it inside. Does it have to be a bag? Absolutely not. Let's say you don't want to put your bag out. Maybe you live in an apartment and it'll just look weird, or maybe you get taken. So I have a book. Where do I really want to go? I would love to go to the Basque region of Spain and check out the caves of Zugarramurdi and the legends of the witches there. So maybe I'll just leave my book of La Bruja de Zugarramurdi by the door. And it does the same thing. It's whatever your intention is, what you put into it, the travel symbolizes for you. Leave it outside your door the night before and bring it in with you. And hopefully it'll happen. So thank you, Amy, for inviting us one more time, because this was a lot of fun to record. We hope that you have a great rest of 2020 and a very magical 2021.
And hopefully these spells will be helpful to you going forward for the rest of the year. If you want some more spells to witch your way into the new year, part 2 of this will come out on December 29th on our podcast. So we'd love for you to come join us there and hear the other spells that we have ready for you. And remember, if you're following the moons,
you're following us.
Hello, good evening, and thank you for joining me for this wonderful Yule celebration at the Moon, Serpent, and Bone Night Market. And my name is Melissa Paone Somma. I am the creator and proprietor of Light Club Curiosity Shop in Sugarloaf, New York, as well as I am the Chakra Witch. So tonight we're going to be talking about Yule and how it pertains to, big surprise, I'm going to be talking about the chakras. But it's very important at this time of the year to really be focused on ourselves and our light within, because it is the darkest time of the year. As you know, Yule is the time of the winter solstice, and the winter solstice literally meaning for the sun to stand still. And at this time of the year, it is the longest night of the year because the sun is the furthest away from us. So because it is so dark, all of our traditions are designed to bring out our inner light. And that's our way of kind of moving in rhythm with the environment as magical beings, as witches, to respond to what's going on in nature and to act accordingly, to let it design who we are, how our energy works. So when it becomes dark, we have to do some really deep soul searching, and it can become difficult at this time of the year because there's not as much light and the shadow really looms. So we face those shadows within ourselves, and by doing that, we can hopefully work to release them and then bring forth the lighter half of the year. So even though it is the darkest time of the year, the one thing is that once Yule passes, it gets progressively lighter each time. So being as we're learning to really release these shadows and embrace that light, the best way to do it is to work through all of our energy centers. So when I talk about the chakras, in case you don't know, and I'm sure most of you do, but a quick little review, because sometimes breaking it down never hurts. And with our chakras, they're basically areas on our midline where our energy collects, and each area governs a different part of our energy. So it's kind of like a vortex where our magic meets. So each chakra rules a different area of our bodies, and it's a good thing to take note of at this time of the year, because this is a time when we get caught up so much in the hustle and the bustle and in trying to prepare for the holiday season that we forget about our own light. We forget about what we should be doing at this time the most, and we put ourselves on the back burner when it's really more of a time to release that shadow, to do some soul searching, and to find out what truly makes us shine so we can bring that forth into the world. So we start with the root chakra, okay? And the root chakra represented by the color red. And the root is basically the part of our being that is all about our physical health, our ability to manifest in this world, our ability to provide for ourselves. So the one thing I would recommend to take note of is, especially at this time, especially at Yule, take some time to reinforce your health and your well-being. Take some time for self-care. One thing is that, as is the tradition right now, we wear a lot of red, okay? But it's a good thing because what it does is it feeds that chakra. It feeds that ability to manifest. It feeds that vitality and that life force within us, because as within, so without. So another thing that is very helpful to do at this time is to not only wear the color red, but to eat the color red, because as within, so without. And foods that are red and rich, what they do is they tend to contain a lot of antioxidants. They tend to feed our system. They tend to nourish our blood. And they tend to revitalize ourselves. So take care, feed that root chakra during the season, but be mindful of what you're doing. We do it anyway, but how can we extract the magic unless we're truly aware of it? Because self-awareness is the key. When you do it with intention, it has that much more power. So then we move it up to the sacral chakra. And the sacral chakra, or the womb, is represented by the color orange. So the thing about the sacral chakra is it is the kind of the hotbed of our emotions. It's also where all of our creativity and our sensuality resides. So with the sacral chakra, how can we really treat that well and empower that during Yule? How can that be useful? Well, allow yourself permission to pay attention to your feelings, to allow them to be your guide. I think a lot of times, because so many emotions come up at this time of the year, that we tend to tamp them down, and we tend to kind of like bite our tongue a little bit and stuff like that. But what I would recommend is when you're feeling a certain way, pay attention to why, when it happens, why. Let your feelings be your guide. Because when you experience something, it's not necessarily the emotion itself that's negative. Okay, it's whatever's causing the emotion, negative or positive. Whatever's causing that emotion, what that can do is paying attention to the emotion can point you in the right direction of what we need to be working on. Okay, what we need to be paying attention to, what we need to release. Okay, this is the time to release during the darkness, during the time of introspection. So it's exactly what we should be doing at this time. If you feel a certain way, if you're feeling a sense of loss during the holidays, if you're feeling anything like that, if you're feeling sadness, if you're feeling sorrow, allow yourself to feel it. It's okay. Give yourself permission. I think so many times we beat ourselves up for not feeling our best all the time. And to be perfectly honest, there has to be an ebb and a flow. And once you get that and you kind of allow that to be your guide, then you realize that the emotions are strictly there to point us in the right direction, steer us along our way, and get us back on our path to what we came here to do. So, the other thing would be is that when you realize once you have to release something, then it opens your road. Because if a lot of people will ask me about open road spells, but if you don't release something first, if you don't get that block out of the way, how can you truly open the road? And how do you know what to release? Pay attention to the emotion. So, brings it up to the solar plexus. So now with the solar plexus, okay, basically right over our diaphragm. And the solar plexus is the home of our self-esteem, our willpower, our self-confidence, our boundaries, and basically where the source of our personal power resides. So, paying attention to that at this time, respect yourself. Respect your time. Respect your boundaries. Yes, there are certain customs, but adopt a custom where you give yourself the time that you need to get through what you need to do. Respect your time just as much as all the other traditions that we observe at this time of the year. And what I would even recommend is adopt some type of talisman. Have something, give yourself a gift of something that you can carry on you. That will remind you that you are a priority to yourself. Give yourself a gift and make your well-being a focus, because until you can give the best of yourself, then you really cannot give to anyone else. Which brings us up to the heart, and they all flow into each other beautifully. So now once you hit with the heart, it's all about, as this time of the year, we want to connect with each other. But what I would say to focus on is something that you probably don't think a lot about. And unfortunately, especially as people who are very intuitive, people who are very empathic, we tend to want to give and want to give and want to give, which is a beautiful, beautiful thing. However, you cannot give properly unless you understand how to receive. So for your heart chakra, I would love you to focus on what we call the law of allowing. And if you truly ever want to manifest, and you truly want to give, and you truly want to put your magic out into the world, you must know how to receive as well. Receive from yourself, but also receive from others. Allow the compliments, allow the love, allow these things to come in. Because once the universe sees that you know how to receive, then it can rain more blessings upon you. And then from there, once you know how to receive, then it moves up to the throat. And the throat is all about putting out what you want, putting out your desires, and putting out all these things to create, putting out spells, putting out magic. So whenever you speak, especially during this time, and from now on, because we're going into a new year. Speak well. Speak well of yourself. Speak well of others. Speak of the gifts you are ready to receive. Speak of everything you want to come into your life. Speak your magic. Cast your spells. Create a chant to reinforce your manifestation. And say it often. I gratefully receive what comes to me. As I will it, so mote it be. Say it often. Okay? And then you can see it start to come in. And when you see it start to come in, you have moved up to the third eye. And the third eye is all about, as we're going into this, finally moving from the darkness, getting into the light, focusing on where we are headed, moving forward decisively, energetically blueprinting, visualizing what you want to see, making vision boards, finding pictures, saving them. Pinterest is a wonderful thing. And always try to look towards what you want to go towards. Okay. Focus on that. Bring everything into a clarity so you can see where you will be. And where will you be? In a state of crown, unity, of appreciation, appreciating all that you are, all that you have been, and all that you will become. You will honor your divinity, you will honor your magic, and you will see it everywhere. So spend time in nature, spend time with the sun, soak in that sun even though it is farthest away from us right now. Appreciate it anyway, bring it in. And of course, spend time with the moon. And what you'll be doing is you'll be connecting with the power of nature. You will be connecting with source energy. You will feel it all around you because you can only feel it when it also resides within, which is all about what Yule truly is, recognizing that light within, shining forth into the world, being magical, wonderful beings. And that is actually the greatest gift that you could possibly give or receive, is the gift of yourself. So, I hope that you will make much magic coming into this new year. Much magic for yourself, because that will bring the magic forth for everyone else as well. So be well. Take good care of yourself. Take good care of others. Be amazing, and as always, blessed be.
Merry meet. My name is Ariel Gatoga, and I'm so happy to spend some time with you. We have this great conjunction coming up this year at the solstice, winter solstice. So the winter solstice, or Yule, as it's called in many craft traditions, is a very important one. And if you look at it from a more religious point of view, you can look at some of these ancient pagan practices out of which this was born. The solstice represents the shortest day of the year. And so that is the birth of the sun god. That is the birth of the sun king. That day is when that sun god is a baby. Now, it's important to look back as to where some of these myths came from. Now, remember that a lot of these ancient pagan people believed that the sun came on a chariot every single day. They did not have any clue that the earth revolved around a central sun. They knew that this king, this god, this very important, they knew that it was important, right? Without the sun, they couldn't live. They thought this king came every single day. And that at the end of that year, when the years were so short, they were afraid the king was going to die and not come back unless they did something. And so different cultures had different kinds of ceremonies that they would use to encourage that sun to be born again each year. And many of these cultures were afraid that if they did not do those things that they did, maybe sacrificing goats or people or whatever kinds of ceremonies that particular culture had, if they didn't keep doing that, that the sun wouldn't come back. Because nobody wanted to take the chance just to see, well, if we didn't do anything, what would happen? Would it come back? Right? So a lot of our mythology is based on superstition. This superstitious belief that the sun was some god in the sky that might die if it wasn't for us in our magical practices. Well, having practiced magic for as many years as I have, I also understand that superstition is one of those things that can kill magic. They can kill magic. So we don't want to be superstitious in our magic when we think in terms of what's going on at Yule. We know that the sun's not going to die without our magic, right? I hope you know that the sun will not die if you don't do a spell or if you don't do a ritual. So we can move beyond our ancestors from that point of view. It's okay. That's not what a magical adept believes. So even though we can borrow some of these rituals and things from our ancestors, we have to understand that we want to be magical adepts. We don't want to be scared pagan people from cultures way gone by that are afraid that the sun is going to leave us. So instead, what we want to do is look at an esoteric point of view of what that solar return is. When that baby is born at the beginning of this cycle, that baby sun, that is a symbol. It's a magical symbol of the light returning to the earth and returning to our lives. That life-giving light that makes things grow out of the earth, where plants will follow that light of that sun, because that is where the life force is coming into our particular world here in our solar system. Now, on the Kabbalistic tree of life, the sun is number 6 on the 6th sphere on that tree of life. And that 6th sphere represents that which does for us what we cannot do for ourselves. Right? We can't create life on our own. We can't do the things that the sun does for us on our own. We don't have that ability. We are dependent on that sun. So it's an important thing to understand that this new baby that's being born, how it evolved into the Christian Savior, is the same for the Christians as it is for any culture. That new baby light is your Savior too, because it saves you from hunger because it grows food. It saves you from the cold because it brings warmth. It saves you from the dark because it brings light. It saves you every single day. So that salvation, that miraculous sphere on the tree of life is the truth. It is the truth. You are dependent on the sun. You are dependent on the sun, but in a different way than a superstitious way. Now, when we have this big conjunction coming up, this grand conjunction that's coming up this year, let's see, it's, Saturn and Jupiter are coming together. They're making a Christmas star. It's the same star that the Magi saw in the Bible, in that story in the New Testament. Now, who are the Magi? Well, they are the people out of whom the word magic comes. The Magi are the people who developed magic. Magic is their science, the science of those Magi. Magi are not just people in a specific region that happen to show up in that Bible. The Magi represent all magical people. All magical people all across the world, from all cultures, from all points of view and ways of life. And the Magi represent the adepts of magic. That means that these people are not superstitious like the ancients, many of the ancients were. They see that their magic actually works. Their magic is that which produces results. Now, this year, because the conjunction is so important, it's a very significant time for us because there is more darkness on this planet than there has been in a long, long time. And when I say darkness, I'm talking about social darkness. I'm talking about disease. I'm talking about greed. I'm talking about corruption. I'm talking about all forms of darkness. Crime, genocide. It's worse than it's ever been in many ways. And so the fact that this conjunction is happening now is a very important symbol, because it means to us the same thing that it means to the Christian religion when they talk about the second coming of Christ. It means the same thing to pagans, because this coming of the Son is so important because it has to come through us. Nothing's going to get dropped onto the earth to save us. That salvation comes through us. That light is being born this year through you. Now, if you're an adept, if you're one of the magi, you are going to say yes to that so that your craft can be used for the service and for the sake of all humanity in a very special way that's very important just for you, that nobody else can do but you. It's going to look very different from everybody else. It's going to look just like what it needs to look like for you. But you have to dedicate yourself to that. You have to say yes to that light. You have to say, yes, I am willing to be part of that. I am willing for this new sun to come into me and use me on its behalf for the betterment of all the world, so that my craft is not just something I'm doing for myself. It's not just so that I can make my money spell work or my love spell work, or that I can dance around a maypole, and all those things are fine and they can be used. But the bigger picture here is that my craft, my magic is being used for a higher purpose, for the healing and, dare I say it, the salvation of the entire earth. That way, you're being used. You're one of the white blood cells in the body of the goddess, is how I term that. You're one of the white blood cells used to bring about the healing and the peace that this earth is craving. And it only takes a small bit of light to overcome massive amounts of darkness. And that's what you are. You are the light of the entire world. And it's being born through you and in you. And how that manifests for the betterment of the world is so unique unto you, just like your thumbprint is unique unto you. Nobody can tell you what that's supposed to look like except you and infinite spirit. But you have to agree to it. You have to say yes. Nothing comes uninvited. The infinite spirit's not going to say, okay, we're going to use you. That would be enslaved. You'd be enslaved by spirit. Spirit doesn't enslave. So spirit will use you to the degree that you're willing to be used. And to the degree that you're willing to be used by infinite spirit is the degree to which you are successful with your magic and happy on this earth. It's time to start thinking in terms of, how can I be of service to spirit? Not how can I be a do-gooder, not how can I do things for people that I think they need. That's not helpful necessarily. But how can I say yes to Spirit's will for me? That's very different. I know all of these things. I know how to do all of these things. So rather than keeping all of these things that are unique unto me, that are my skill set, how about if I offer them up to this light, this coming light, to be used on my behalf, to be used on its behalf for the betterment of the entire world? I don't know what it's going to look like. I don't know how it's going to be. It's not for me to know. What's for me to know is how to be an adept. I am willing to be trained. I am willing to follow rather than lead. If you want to be a leader in this world, you better learn how to be a follower in the world of spirit. Because an adept follows. An adept follows direction. An adept is always cognizant of their inner guidance. An adept is always learning and seeking and being shown the next indicated step over and over and over again. An adept learns not to think all by themselves. An adept learns always to think from infinite spirit's perspective. Infinite intelligence always guides an adept. So when you say yes to this coming light, you are also saying yes to being trained and showing up to your job every day as it's shown to you by infinite spirit, as it's indicated by infinite spirit. So whatever your skill set is, it will be used. Whatever you still need to be, the skills that you still need to have developed, you will develop them. You will be the teachers will be sent to you that need to be sent to you. The books, the websites, whatever it is that you need in order to do what you're here to do, it will happen. But you have to say yes, and you have to recognize that it is so. No longer are we in an age where it's just about you. Now we're in a new age. That this conjunction is the start of this new age. It's here whether we like it or not. And so now our job is to say, well, do I want to be an adept or do I want to be part of the masses? Do I want to be part of the superstitious masses? Or do I want to be an adept and actually make magic work? Now's the time. This has been so wonderful to be with you. I really appreciate you being with me. And happy Yule. I know things are looking a little bit weird right now, but I promise they're going to get better. Let's all work together to support each other in becoming the adepts that we were born to be. Thank you so much. Much love and many blessings.
Hello, Madam Z here, and thanks for hanging out with us during the Moon, Serpent, and Bone Oddities and Curiosities virtual Yule market. We've had some terrific vendors and some phenomenal speakers. So I am one of the speakers that's going to be talking to you about, Yule. So, Madam Z here, I am your magical life coach and your female empowerment leader. And I teach women how to come out of the broom closet and helping them empower their lives through magic and to design their life that they truly desire. So today, I really just want to talk to you about Yule and how to create that magical hearth and home through the magic of Yule. Just a little bit about the history of Yule and some tips and tricks on how to bring that Yule energy and that Yule kind of seasonal inspiration into your magical hearth and home. So happy Yule, everyone. So I want to share some traditional Yule celebrations that I bring into my hearth and home every season. And I want to make it really easy and simple for you. So let's talk a little bit about the Yule tradition. Yule is a celebration of the turning of the wheel, the cycle of living that the pagans and that what I use to live my magical life. We celebrate the shortest day of the year, also known as the winter equinox. So the earliest celebration of Yule can be found in ancient Rome, Celtics, and in Norse traditions. So some kind of fun fact here for you. Did you know that the Yule is a 12-day holiday? It begins on Mother's Night, excuse me while I take a drink, which is December 21st. So Yule actually starts on December 21st. And ends 12 days after, which is called the Yule night, which is January 1st. So it is the origin of the Christian holiday called the 12 days of Christmas. So fun fact, just in case you didn't know that. So Yule is seen as a time when the young Oak King and the old Holly King battle each other out for supremacy of just as they do kind of like the Midsummer Festival, right? It kind of reminds me how all the males just want to fight each other for supremacy and just to reign over that, the land. And I'm going to fight until I am the ruler. So at the Midsummer Festival, the Holly King battles the Oak King and wins the campaign over that, or the battle. And the Holly King reigns until the start of the winter or the beginning of Yule, when the Oak King is reborn and prepares the battle for the Holly King to rule over the land once more. So right now, mythologically speaking, the Oak King and the Holly King are battling each other out for supremacy, for the ruler of the land. So both of these celebrations show how the ancient pagans had a strong tie and honoring the solstices throughout the entire year. So the winter solstice brings about the return of the sun and the longer days and the celebration of the survival that we had to go through during the cold winter months. So it's a celebration of equality in your life also, but it's a celebration of thank the goddess that we made it through another winter and we can see another day. And now we are waiting and embracing the return of the sun to come into our lives. So I wanted to give you 13 easy ways to bring the energy and the energy of Yule into the season of into your heart, into your home, or hearth and home. I teach magic very simple, very fast. It's not made to be hard or difficult to be a magical person. So let's dive into my top 13 ways to bring this season into your hearth, into your home. So decorate a tree with ornaments and bless each one with health, wealth, prosperity, happiness, forgiveness, togetherness or healing. And as you hang them on the tree, you want to say your blessing, or maybe you have a specific person that you want that ornament to represent. So before you hang that onto the tree, let's give it some power as far as your magical intentions. So let's put some intentions into each of those Christmas ornaments that you're hanging on the tree. Hang evergreens and wreaths around the house for protection, for prosperity and abundance. Have a small Yule log on the coffee table or over the fireplace. Or you can actually make an edible Yule log, which I am never opposed to anything edible. Make some cider and mulled wine. Make some gingerbread cookies, but kind of with a twist. Make the gingerbread cookies, but use them as cute little puppets for magical intentions. Sing pagan Yuletide songs. Spend the day with the family making Yule crafts, making Yule treats. Put candles in the windows and around your house to welcome the sun. Recognize Santa Claus as a multicultural icon. Meditate on the rising and setting sun of the solstice. Join others in rural rituals. I know now we can't really gather in public spaces now, but find a group virtually who is going to be doing a Yule ritual online. You can have some wonderful connections with people, some wonderful connections with powerful witches, and have a wonderful connection of Yuletide energy in the virtual space. I know I hold a lot of my rituals online now, and they are just as powerful, and you get to connect and meet other people that have different traditions. Maybe you're a Celtic and you have Celtic traditions, and maybe this other person who comes into the Zoom call has Norse traditions. And then you connect and you talk about what the traditions of Yuletide is and how they celebrate Yule versus how you celebrate Yule. So this is a very important and dear to my heart, is to contribute to a charitable contribution that you feel called to donate to, whether it is the homeless, a pet shelter, whether it is a soup kitchen. Find something that you are really connected to and make a contribution to that charity. Now, I want to give you a little bit of correspondence, herbs and gemstones and colors that correspond with the Yule energy. So that way you can create your Yule altar. I'm going to run through these really fast. So your herbs are going to be your evergreens or your hollies, your mistletoes, really any tree, but I love cedar. You can use ash, bay, you can use thistle, chamomile, frankincense, juniper, and of course, pine. The gemstones that are associated with Yule are your clear quartz, your jet, because that represents the darkness that we're are coming out of. The ruby, diamonds, garnets, alexandrite, kunzite, citrine, which represents the sun, green tourmaline, blue topaz, pearls, orange calcite, which also represents the sun, and I always have a problem with this word, ametrine. Ametrine, is that how you say that? Amertrine. Ametrine, sorry. Ametrine. I don't think I've ever seen ametrine, but those are the gemstones that are associated with Yule. Your Yule archetypes, if you work with any archetypal energy, any female or male deities, this would be a good time to work with the crone energy, because we are in the old wise woman phase of the wheel of the year. The Holly Mother, which is the Germanic Herlig who brings the light back into the world. In Eru, the Celtic goddess and the wife of Lu. As far as male deities, of course, you want to work with Father Time. And he is depicted as an old man that kind of has a clock or a watch, and he's like turning back the time, which represents the turning of the wheel. Okay. And Odin, who is like the original Santa Claus. The Holly King, the ruler of winter months, and Krampus, one of my favorite to work with is Krampus, the German in origin and Santa's horned helper. I'm in Austin, Texas, and we usually have a Krampus parade. But this year, because we can't connect and we can't gather in events anymore, I kind of miss that. Krampus is still a big part of my Yule tradition, and I have him on my Yule altar. So Krampus, I love him. So your deities are going to be Amaterasu, Baba Yaga, Kalik, Demeter, Hodor, and Saturn. Okay. So we talked about the trees. Let's talk about the herbs also some more. We have cardamom and cinnamon and cloves and nutmeg and peppermint and rosemary and sage. And what I like to do is for Yule, while I'm decorating my hearth and home, I do an intentional simmer pot. And what that means is I take a pot, dedicated pot that is used for only my magical uses. I fill it with blessed moon water or any kind of holy water. I put any of these herbs that I have that correspond with Yule. I say a blessing over it. I put it on a low simmer and put it on the modern cauldron, is what I call it, your stove. And I say intentions over that pot. What is that intentions supposed to be? Is the pot supposed to bring in prosperity? Is it abundance, healing? What is the intention of that simmer pot? And then I will let that simmer all day long, bringing that intentions and using it as like a magical cauldron into the universe. So all day long, it's simmering, it's bringing that fruition. It is bringing in the prosperity, and it's changing the energy while you're doing all of your Yuletide magical working. So that's just an easy, simple way to do it. And your colors are going to be green, gold, ice blue, and of course, red and white. So your symbols are going to be the cauldron, darkness, evergreens, light, trees, wreath, and of course, a Yule log. So I hope these tips and tricks have given you some kind of boost in energy, how to make your Yuletide hearth and home a little bit more magical. Magic doesn't have to be hard. It doesn't have to be complicated. I give you some easy tips and tricks on how to celebrate Yule during this magical season. So I invite you to come hang out with me and check me out on my website at www.madamz.com, and you will find my free and Unleash Your Inner Witch challenge, and also come join my Facebook group. The links and everything are in my Facebook group. I'm sure that we have links also in the description of the video. All right, everyone, witch on, and happy Yule. Bye, everyone.